Heyo everyone, it's Bree, and you're listening to episode 2 of A Piece of Everything, Star Wars Visions Part 1. Howdy everyone, what's happening? I am so sorry. I have to apologize off the bat because this episode is so late. Like, I said that I was gonna keep this weekly, and it's Monday, and the last time I posted was Friday, so, last Friday. So, it's already episode 2, and I'm already late in uploading. I know, it's horrible, but I can explain. So, last week had been quite the week. I mean, you guys who are in school, I don't even need to explain it to you. Like, it was just one of those weeks, and it had been like Wednesday night, and I was doing homework and was in the middle of either like writing a quadratic equation, I hate those so much, or like writing a script for another class I have, when I realized that I didn't write the outline or start anything podcast related. And I just had like the worst realization moment of like, oh my goodness, I have a podcast now and I didn't do anything for it. So yeah, that was the first thing. But then I actually did get myself together enough to be able to record on Friday, and I was ready to do that. But I had a lot of stuff going on the weekend, so I was like, let me do this before school. So it was Friday morning, and it was so early, and I do not know what happened. I thought my voice sounded good, but like, when I listened back to it, I immediately realized I was still tired. Like, I sounded dead, so I could barely hear the audio of myself talking. It sounded so bad. So I had to scratch that and do a redo, which is what this is. So, yeah. Excuse the charade and shenanigans and such. That's my bad, but I am back with a new episode right now, and, as promised, we are going to dive into Star Wars Visions today. So, oh yeah, can I get an air horn on that real quick? Woo! Yeah! You guys could tell I've been dying to use that sound effect, but you know, it's cool, so yeah, we're gonna keep that sound effect in. But yeah, anyway, so there's been a lot of talk about Star Wars Visions since its release, as you guys know, and I figured it would be better to do an episode on it now, like closer to its release date, as opposed to talking about it like a couple weeks from now, just to keep, up to speed and up to date. So yeah, that's what this episode's going to be on, part 1. We're going to be diving into a few episodes. But before we get to that, I thought it would kind of be cool to do like a little like weekly comic update on just some of the things that I'm reading right now or currently about to read, just to give you like some ideas for things that we're going to be talking about soon that I'm excited about. So yeah, I needed to do this because I just bought a bunch of stuff and I just got a bunch of stuff to read. So right now I'm finishing up the High Republic Adventures comics to segue into the Rising Storm, which I've had the Rising Storm on my shelf for at least, I want to say 2 months, and I really need to get to it. So that's really exciting news for me because I've been really slow with getting into the novels. So I'm almost done with the High Republic Adventures comics, and I'm going to be reading Rising Storm soon, so I really cannot wait to do a review on the Rising Storm because I've been hearing how good it is, and I need to see it for myself, so be prepared for that. That's going to be crazy. And also, like, for Star Wars comics, I'm reading the Princess Leia trade right now. If you guys know about that, it's right before the Skywalker Strikes, Volume 1, which goes into, like, the first 2015 Star Wars run. And then that's gonna, like, get us into the Vader comics and Dr. Aphra, which we have to talk about that soon because I can't be out of the loop for that too long. And, yeah, for DC Comics, everyone, I'm reading. So, where I'm at with DC Comics right now, it's, like, before Final Crisis. So, I'm trying to prep myself for, like, Sinestro Corpse War and Green Lantern Rebirth, which is, like, around the same time. So, for the Green Lantern stuff, I picked up Final Night, which is kind of going back, but, I need, like, some foundation and a little more, like, closure on the whole Hal Jordan situation, which, if you don't know what's up with Hal Jordan and what happened with him, that's a whole other thing we have to discuss. But yeah, Final Night's supposed to wrap that up, so I'm gonna read that and then start Green Lantern Rebirth, which is really, really exciting. So I've been wanting to get into that for a while. So yeah, we have to dedicate a few episodes for Green Lantern Rebirth. And I'm so excited about this. So with my Star Wars novels, I had only had the first couple High Republic books for a while, Light of the Jedi and Into the Dark. But then I received Dooku Jedi Lost, which is so exciting. Like, I kind of spoiled not really, I kind of know about this one because I didn't think I would be reading Dooku Jedi Lost, so I listened to a review on it, but I kind of forgot some of the details, so it'll be cool to read Dooku Jedi Lost. And I also got Master and Apprentice, which is supposed to be like one of the best Star Wars novels, as far as canon goes, I'm guessing, but like one of the best Star Wars books. So I've heard a lot of good stuff about these two, and that's going to be so cool to talk about with you guys. As far as movies go, Venom came out this weekend. I saw it, and I'm trying to figure out if I want to do a review on it, because I'm not going to lie, the movie was kind of weird. It was kind of a weird film, but I mean, if anything, it would be worth to discuss the end credit scene that came with that. So I'm not going to spoil that right now, but yeah, that would be the only reason why I would really want to do a review on Venom. But yeah, I'll think about it. I'll sit on that for a bit. But yeah, so that's a little bit of an update on some things that I've been taking a look at and that I've gotten but not exactly jumped into yet. That can give you a little bit of an idea of what some future episodes are going to be about. And I'm looking forward to planning all of that out. So also, I can't forget this one. As a small announcement, I wanted to mention that I was able to make an email specifically for the podcast and for you guys to use. I'm so proud of myself for figuring this out. So I thought it would be a cool idea to make this, since, this podcast is going to be featuring reviews like I was saying last week. And I was thinking maybe you guys would like to send in some of your own reviews to be read on the show for comics and books and stuff like that, whatever you want. And I do have to admit that this wasn't totally an original idea. I got this from another podcast, so I gotta give a shout out to the Living Forest podcast by Utini. If you guys don't listen to them already, they are awesome. A top-notch show. They're my favorite podcast. I mean, besides my podcast, but, I'm just starting out, so it's okay for them to be my favorite right now. But, yeah, they're such a good show, and I highly recommend them for anything, Star Wars related, because they kill it in that area. But, yeah, they usually read reviews sent into them on their show, and they've even read a couple of mine on there, so thank you so much, Utini, for that awesome idea that I'm now stealing. I hope you don't mind. But yeah, so I think that'll be a really cool addition to the show if you guys catch on with it. So if you want to review a cool comic that you read, or even a movie, or hey, if you want to review an episode from Visions, that would be so cool. So yeah, send them over to the email, which is apieceofeverythingreviews@gmail.com, and I'll try and read them on the latest episode. And of course, if you have any comments or questions about the show, do not be afraid to send those over as well. So yeah, I'll be putting the email in the episode descriptions now for you guys, just so that it's always up front. So I guess with that announcement and with all of that being said, I guess we can make our transition into Visions now. So yeah, our talk about Visions is going to be a two-parter, because I was sitting here and writing out the outline for this episode, and when I saw all my thoughts on paper and how much I needed to say for each episode, it became quite clear pretty fast that there was no way we could crunch it all into one episode without killing you guys. So I don't want to do that. It would just be way too much. So yeah, today we're going to get through the first 4 episodes, and next week we can pick up where we left off and then just take it from there. So if you haven't heard of Visions, which I really don't know how that would be possible at this point, but if it's something newer to you, I'll back you up. So basically, to break it down, the whole deal with Star Wars Visions and the whole idea with this is that Star Wars / Lucasfilm wanted to do something a little bit different with the franchise and do a little project to just kind of celebrate Star Wars overall and try something new. And they wanted to do that through an anime style, because because why not? So they picked a few different anime studios, and in essence, they said, here's Star Wars and do whatever you want with it, which I thought was really cool to do and kind of genius. So now the product of that, what we have now, is an anthology of shorts. I mean, if you want to call them shorts, they're like, some of them are like 15, 20 minutes, that each has their own take on Star Wars and what the essence of it is. So I was so excited when I first heard about this, and now that it's actually like here, it's really cool. But I've kind of been hearing some constants and some mixed things about how Visions went. I've heard that it was okay, that some people just liked it, and that, you know, some other people would just rather watch regular anime. But I haven't heard anyone say it was awful, which is a really good thing. So if that does any consolidating for you, then there you go. Nobody has said it's bad. But for me, though, I really, really enjoyed Visions. I thought it was really good. There are those episodes that are still sticking with me, and that I've gone back and rewatched a number of times already that I just love. But I do have to say, though, that there were definitely some episodes in there that were like, I mean, I don't want to say snoozers, but they're just boring, which is the same thing, but whatever. But like some of them you could tell were just meant to be like fun and cute, which is fine, but those just weren't my favorites. But today we can just focus on episodes 1 through 4, which would be the Duel, Tattooine Rhapsody, the Twins, and the Village Bride. So I'm in slight pain because most of my favorites from Visions are in episodes that come a little later, but that's okay. That'll just grip you for next week. So we'll get to them in due time in the next episode. But honestly though, episode 1 is definitely one of my favorites. So this is a little bit of relief that I can talk about this one first. But yeah, so now we're going to start with episode 1, the Duel. And like as soon as I played this one and I was looking at it, I was already surprised by the animation style a little bit. Like, I watch anime, but I've never really seen anything like this before, besides, like, I mean, this kind of reminded me of, like, the Isle of Dogs style, like, the style that movie was in, but it's not exactly the same, but kind of, like, in how it moves and stuff. But I thought it was really cool, because, it made, like, the color of the lightsabers and the blaster bolts stand out more, and it kind of set the feeling of the setting because of how it was black and white. And I really think that it contributed to how Ronin felt like a samurai, which is what everyone says. Like, everyone that I've talked with about episode 1 has said that Ronin is, in essence, a samurai, which he is. And that makes him especially cool because we've never seen a character like that in Star Wars until now. And he's super intriguing due to the fact that he's doing these, like, good deeds, like saving a village, but that he used to be a Sith, which is, like, if you guys didn't know that, I got that from the description of the upcoming novel on Ronin, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But yeah, I loved how taken aback everyone was with the fact that he had a red lightsaber, or at least a couple of them, actually, as we see at the end of the episode, as that was revealed. But even the Sith lady that came to the planet, well, she was surprised too, because, like, you know, sure, Sith fight Sith, but you never, ever see someone with a red lightsaber doing anything good, which was really nice to see. It just made me like Ronin even more, so that was really cool. But we have to talk about the fight scene, because, you know, it's called the Duel. That's the whole point. I love the fight scene between him and the Sith girl lady, and with everything being black and white, that made the lightsabers and, like, the strike moves stand out even more as they were fighting, which I really liked that. It was a cool, like, effect that had. And you guys know, that one frame where Ronin is holding the Sith girl's, like, lightsaber back using the Force, like, 2 inches from his face, that was so cool. That was, like, the perfect moment. I would buy a poster of that. I just thought of that. Somebody should make a poster of that. Come on, that's perfect to make. But that was a really cool element of the fight scene that kind of just added to it for me. But can we just talk about, like, the Sith girl's hair for a second? Because, like, I don't know about you guys, but it kind of scared me. Like, that moment when she took her hood off and it was just, like, a mass of hair under it, it just felt like that's definitely Sith hair. Like, it just resonated with me that is Sith hair. Or it could have just been a really bad hair day. We never know. But, I mean, I wouldn't want to die with my hair looking like that. But I mean, I guess she didn't have much of a choice because yeah, Ronan gets her, and like Ronan seems like a really smart dude with how he got her and took her down from behind like that with like the cave and the waterfall and stuff. So there's got to be some sort of like crazy good underlying skill that he has there. But we'll just have to find out about that soon because of his novel. I hope they go into depth more about like his skill and stuff like that, but I really can't wait to read the novel on him. I mean, at this point, I just want Star Wars to take like all my money for all of the books that they're making, because like I really want to know the story behind all those kyber crystals that he had. Like if you guys remember at the end of the episode, he like shows a little bit of the inner vest that he has, and there's like this string of red kyber crystals. I want to know why he has them and what the story is behind him collecting all of those. And also maybe to find out what that statue was he was bowing down to in the cave. That would be really interesting because it looked like the statue was the thing that ignited the decoy lightsaber that tricked the Sith girl into coming in. But yeah, I would like to know what that is, if there's an explanation on that at all. But from the sound of what the book is saying and like from the description, it sounds like there was some sort of Sith war or conflict that went down, and Ronan ended up separating himself from the Sith. So I cannot wait to see what went down with that and what happened with him and why he separated. But with this first episode, it was such like a cool like kickoff to Visions, and it got me really excited, and I'm sure that's why they put it first. And a super cool character came out of this one, which is awesome. And that's a success, and I'm really glad that we're going to be getting more of him soon. So, I can't remember when the book is actually coming out. I want to say January or November. I can't remember, but it's a little bit later. But hopefully I can also get a review in on that too once I get it. But yeah, so that episode was a really good way to start off. It was so good. One of my favorites. But now, going into episode 2, Tattooine Rhapsody. Episode 2. So, I mean, now I know why they put the Duel as episode 1. Because after watching that first, I was thinking like, man, all of these episodes are going to be like this. Let's just push ahead. And then this one was pretty much like a stark opposite to the Duel. And like when I was saying before that some episodes are meant to be cute and fun, this is what I'm talking about, is episode 2, Tattooine Rhapsody. And it was a nice episode, but there were some things that I wanted out of it that I didn't get. But one thing I did like about this one is that it starts off with Order 66, like in the middle of the clones. You don't actually see the clones firing, but it starts off in this like kind of cool scene with the clones firing on this Padawan, which like Order 66 always gets me riled up. Like seeing anything flashing back to that immediately immerses me. But yeah, this Padawan's getting attacked, and he falls from a ledge as the clones are attacking him. And he lands with this makeshift band, which he rolls with for the next few years. So it does like a slight time jump. And some of the best parts of this episode are simply the facts that Jabba the Hutt and Boba Fett are in it. And which was actually really cool though, seeing Boba Fett and Jabba in anime style. Boba Fett looked really cool. But I don't know about you guys, but the one thing I was really hoping for, the part where Boba had come to take away like the big green dude, I'm pretty sure his name was G or G, something like that. And the main character Jay, he tried to like turn on his broken lightsaber to counter Boba as he was taking his friend away. I expected him to at least like take some time, at least later in the episode, take some time to fix the thing and use it, which like, and like having that moment of clarity where he realized like he's still connected to the Force and he can still use his lightsaber to save his friend or whatever. Like I really wanted that, but I mean, instead, I'm pretty sure he ended up turning it into a microphone, which, like, I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was kind of a letdown. I thought he was originally bluffing about that because he was about to sing, and he was like, calm down, it's just a mic, but it actually was, and I was kind of sad about that. Like, he should have turned it back into a lightsaber and saved the world or whatever. But yeah, after that, basically the main character, Jay, sang everyone out of their bad situation and convinced Jabba to keep them around that way instead of, like, killing all of them. But by the time the episode was over, I was still thinking about that lightsaber. Like, it was nice that he followed his passion and everything, and I don't want to say it was a missed opportunity or anything, but it was a missed opportunity a little bit to me. And it had some potential, at least in my mind. But overall, it was a fun and cute episode. What I want to ask, though, is what did you guys think of that music? I'm pretty sure it was meant to be the focal point of the episode, speaking of the fact that they were a band and they were singing all throughout the episode. With the music, I liked it. Not that I would slap the songs on my playlist or anything, but, it sounded like how anime music should sound, and it was pretty good, pretty groovy, not gonna lie. But yeah, if you were like Jabba and Boba, like tapping your feet and nodding your head to the music, it's okay. Don't fight it. It was good. You can admit it. But yeah, I did also like the characters too. Like Jay's story was a good one. Like speaking of how he survived Order 66 and all, with the story and how it was constructed, everyone else in the story was made to feel like a well-knit group, which is what they were going for. It was cool. But if I'm gonna be real, in comparison to the Duel, in my opinion, this episode doesn't stand much of a chance. But on its own, it's fine. But, there are better ones for me other than this one, in my opinion. But now we can go into episode 3, which is the twins. And this one was an interesting one. This one was actually pretty cool. But bear with me on this thought that I have about this episode. I couldn't help but think this. Like, the two characters in the story, the twins, they kind of reminded me of, younger Anakins in the sense that they were created and made solely for the dark side. Like how Anakin was created by Palpatine, which was actually a really interesting idea. I could see a storyline like this, Dark Forces and the Imperials making life for the dark side specifically. Like, I could kind of see a storyline like that being used in Legends or taking place in some distant past or future of what we already know in Star Wars. But it was kind of a different way to think about it, like a different way to go about Imperials and secret weapons and stuff. It was kind of cool. But the way that this episode was structured and how they did flashbacks and stuff, it felt like what was happening currently at times was actually part of a Force vision that the brother was recalling, but then it wasn't. Because, I remember thinking that we were still in the past at one point, looking into the future, but that might have just been the flashback of the brother saying that he had a vision. That confused me a little bit, but I had to get used to what was happening with that. And I hope I really wasn't the only one who thought that, or else that probably would have sounded really stupid. But yeah, anyway, so that's one thing that I was a little confused about, but that didn't really distract from the episode or me liking it or anything. But one thing also that I remember was the Kyber crystal powered weapon. The two Star Destroyers meshed with each other. That looked like a killer weapon. If there was a Star Destroyer version of the Death Star, that's what it would look like. So that was a really cool weapon. And it was interesting to me and kind of thought-provoking when the brother, I really can't remember his name. I remember the sister's name. It's Am? It's just A-M, I think. Aim? Right? I don't remember the brother's name, so I'm just going to keep calling him the brother. But it was interesting to me when the brother took the crystal that powered the weapon, because to me, he doesn't seem like a straight-up good guy. Kind of more that his deal was that he didn't want his sister to have such a power that can destroy her and just destroy so much. Not so much that he wanted to, save the world or save the galaxy or anything. Because at one point, he did say, I don't care about the Empire or the Republic. So to me, that kind of meant that he was somewhere in the middle. Not for the Jedi, but not for the Sith or the Empire anymore. So that was kind of interesting, how he was kind of floating in between. But then when he put the Kyber crystal in his saber, it was blue. So maybe that's an indicator or something. I don't think he's exactly Jedi material, though. I'm not completely convinced of that, but, maybe getting there, I'm not sure. But for this Visions episode, we know that we have to zoom in on the fight scene for this one, because there was a lot going on there. And I feel like with this episode, when I talk to other people about the Twins episode, they always go to the fight scene, and how crazy it was. But first of all, let me just address the whole breathing in space thing. This either seemed to bother a lot of people or just not matter as much. It certainly didn't kill the episode for me, but it was kind of funny when I was watching this episode for the first time and they started fighting in space, because it took me a second to process that they had no protection at all. They were just talking, and I was like, are they in glass, or like, are they still in the ship? But no, they're not. So I know that's on some of your minds, but here's how I think about it. Like, if you were to explain to someone who's not that into Star Wars, or just someone who cares less than you about the capability of breathing in space in a fictional world, I can totally imagine someone like that responding to this whole issue of like, oh, they're breathing in space. That's not plausible. I can imagine somebody like that saying like, nothing is real in Star Wars anyway, so chill out. But, I mean, still, if we're gonna get technical, in Star Wars, you're still not supposed to be able to breathe in space. But I'll allow it for this one. I'll allow it for the twins. It's fine. It didn't bother me so much. But, I mean, okay. Back to the actual fight scene, though. There was a lot happening that actually made this a super cool part of the episode. We have the flashback that I was mentioning earlier. And also, like, the different styled lightsabers again. And if you guys remember, there's a part where the sister had, like, these cool, like, whiplash lightsabers, like 6 of them flying out of her suit at once, which was very different and cool. But I do like how they're doing, like, the whole different lightsabers thing, though. Just like with the windmill, I like to call it a windmill lightsaber. That's not even what it is. But, like, the windmill lightsaber that the Sith lady had in the Duel episode, where she just, like, whipped it out, and it was spinning with, like, 6 different attachments on it. They're very interesting to see, and it's obvious, and it's really clear to see that that's the anime coming through into the style of how everything is designed and stuff. So yeah, I like the lightsabers. Also, something I almost forgot about this episode until I watched it again, I don't know how I almost forgot this, but was how they were both using Force lightning, which, like, especially with the animation style, it was very cool looking. Like, with the sister using, like, the red Force lightning and the brother using the blue on the kyber crystal at the same time, and it was kind of like infusing it with 2 energies. It was really cool to see that. And I don't know, this kind of reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have like lightsabers, like the NeoPixel ones that you can buy, but on mine there's a setting where it can be 2 colors at the same time. And this whole thing with the kyber crystal having 2 different colors for a second when they're both zapping it with Force lightning, it kind of reminded me of that, like the crystal having 2 colors. So it's not that relevant, but still, I thought I could connect it some way, but I don't know, maybe it sounded better in my head. I'll just leave it in there. But yeah, so that kind of reminded me of that. And of course, we cannot forget about the crystal powered suit. That was pretty crazy. I've never seen anything like that. But on another podcast I was listening to, well, actually, shout out to Utini again, because it's the same podcast. They were saying that there was something like this a while back in Legends. I forget which book they mentioned it being in, but they were saying that there's a possibility that the whole suit kyber crystal thing might have been reflecting off of an old Legends book that had something similar, which is kind of cool. Like, I mean, I still have yet to read a Legends book, but to be able to make connections like that, and to be able to be like, this is the roots of what they're doing here and here, that makes me more excited to actually read a Legends book. So I've been looking into a few Legends series, but I'll get to it. So that was kind of cool how they mentioned that, and how they were kind of staying true to some old stories. But it seemed to me like this episode could possibly get a second one along the line, like just basing it off of how it ended, with the brother being like, we need to find my sister and we can help her, and it sounded like there could be a part 2 for the twins. Maybe if Star Wars decides to make a round 2 of Visions, which I think that they could, there's a possibility of that, since a few of the episodes are kind of implying that there could be part 2s. But it would be cool if Star Wars did that, though. If we got like a season 2 of Visions, that would be so awesome. But yeah, it kind of seemed to me that it was implying that this couldn't continue a little bit, us following the brother on the search for the sister and trying to help her out of the situation she's in. But yeah, all in all, I did like this episode a lot. And to me, it was cool how they had like the whole Imperial feel of the Reign of the Empire, like timeline of things fit in here. And they had that going on. So I did like this one. It was really cool to me. Quite different. Okay, so moving on to episode 4, The Village Bride. So weirdly enough, when I was initially thinking back to this episode specifically, I thought that there wasn't much that I remembered about it. Like, I was trying to think, but when I rewatched it, for some reason, like, I appreciated it and liked it way more than the first time I watched it. I don't know why, but I just really liked it much more the second time. But basically what's happening with this episode is, there's a young bride, obviously, and she's turning herself in to be taken by marauders or raiders on their planet who had reprogrammed a bunch of separatist droids and were causing problems and stuff. And a Jedi who survived Order 66, trying to lay low, is on the same planet as all this is happening and ends up helping the bride and her people fight back against the raiders. So here again, we kind of see another nudge towards the aftermath of Order 66, which I cannot get enough of, or at least a while after Palpatine takes over. That was so cool how they did that again. But something that actually made me think in this episode, I never had this go through my mind before, but was how in Star Wars, other regions or different places might have different names for the Force. And on the planet that was featured in this episode, they called it Magina. And, for a little bit, I wasn't exactly sure what they were addressing. When they kept saying that, I was like, what are they talking about? But then the Jedi, kind of met the villagers halfway and called the Force Magina when she was talking to them. So that kind of solidified it for me, the Force is the Magina. It's the same thing. But it was kind of cool how they made you think that there's, different perspectives on how other places can view the Force, it's a cool thing to think about. And it makes me wonder, in the beginning of the episode when the bride and her husband, or then fiancé, when they activated the stone together, were they using the Force? Because when they did that, the Jedi felt it, a wave of the Magina. So, I don't know. It was a really interesting take on the Force and how other places can, in essence, see it as the same thing, but call it different things and view it differently and stuff. So, yeah, very, very cool. And I appreciated how, as this episode went along, the Jedi became a little more and more open to the idea of stepping out of hiding and was contemplating more and more whether to take action and save the bride from, the marauders. After getting pieces of her backstory, throughout, you can kind of see why it was taking her a little bit longer to actually be I want to help and do something about the situation on this planet. And it showed some character development because when she does decide she's going to do something, they show this cool scene where she cuts off her Padawan braid and takes off her mask, and we see the cut on her face, and I'm assuming it came from the red lightsaber that we saw for literally half a second in a flashback moment that she had. But yeah, I would not mind hearing more about her backstory. It seemed interesting because she mentioned that her master had a connection to the planet previously, and they did a few flashbacks of when her master and her were attacked, and not exactly how she survived, but when she survived. So that would kind of be cool if we heard a little bit more about how that happened and that whole situation with her. But yeah, it was cool how they showed some character development. If you guys remember, there's a part where she's facing off against the leader of the gang, and she holds back the blaster bolt that the guy was about to fire on the bride's sister. That was a cool part, and I recognized it as soon as I saw it, since it had been in the trailer for Visions when that was first released. So that was cool to kind of see that and be oh, that's what that's for. So, but yeah, I liked that part when she stepped in and did something. And I also liked it when the guy that the Jedi had been with throughout the episode, I'm still not sure who he was to her. It seemed like he had been a friend. I'm trying to think if he was a Jedi or not, too, because he obviously had known the Jedi character previous to when she arrived on the planet and met up with him. And he also mentioned that he knew her master, too, so I'm trying to figure out, what the relationship was exactly. But I did like this guy, though, his character. And there's, a cool part when all of the droids and, raiders were shooting at him, and none of the blasts hit him. So either he was using the Force, or he had just really good plot protection. But he seemed like a cool guy. I liked his character. But the finishing blow in this episode was so good. It was so cool. My favorite part, it's at the end, and the leader realizes that he's been defeated. All of his forces are burnt up, and he has the bride on a headlock and with a blaster pointed at her, and the Jedi is really far away from him, but like is getting ready with her lightsaber. And first of all, let me just mention how much I loved the choice of lightsaber color that they picked. I mean, the only time we've really seen the color of yellow as a lightsaber color is with either Quinlan Vos, which I'm hoping that I'm remembering this correctly, that he had a yellow lightsaber or a yellowish lightsaber. But the only other times that we've really seen this color is either with Quinlan Vos from the Clone Wars and Rey, which was for 2 seconds. So, like, seeing this color again was exciting, and it was a really good choice to me, like, using that. But anyway, but when the guy was about to shoot the girl, like, as he has her, the Jedi is standing with her lightsaber already, and I was wondering how this is going to work, because she's, like, on the other side of the field of the enemy. Like, how is she going to get to him before he shoots? But then something happened with, like, her shoe. There was a frame that zoomed in, like, literally on her shoe, and it did something cool where it, like, unlocked or something. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, ooh, something's about to happen. And as soon as the shoe did whatever it did, she literally, like, speed sprinted. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it was like a flash move, what she did. And she got there so fast that the guy got taken down before he even knew what hit him. That was such a cool moment. I do not know how I forgot that. Like, I totally missed that until I rewatched it again. Man, I feel bad that I forgot about that because it was such a cool finish. And especially after that, I really liked this character a lot more now than the first time I watched this. I'm still not sure why the first time I watched it, it was just kind of went over my head, but it really was not bad at all. I enjoyed this episode after taking another look at it. But yeah, after everyone gets saved and everything's all sorted out, our Jedi friend leaves the planet to who knows where, and I kind of wish she stayed on the planet just for, like, closure. But maybe we'll see her again on another endeavor, which, I don't know, maybe. Like, it ended with her going into hyperspace, so I don't know. But I do hope that we get some more visions in the future at this point, because I do think there's room for it, and it would be very well accepted by fans like me and you, and wouldn't mind seeing, you know, episodes that continue storylines like this. So, yes, that's The Village Bride. That was actually a good one. But out of these 4 that we mentioned, definitely The Duel is my favorite one. That was so good, and it was exciting to watch. So, alrighty, everybody, we made it through our first full-length episode. That was so cool to do. I'm sorry I had a delay. That's totally my bad. But I am looking forward to getting to do Visions Part 2 next time and to go over the last 5 episodes that we have to talk about, which are The Ninth Jedi, Episode 5, T0B1, which is Episode 6, The Elder, which is Episode 7. I just have to say, I rewatched that again today, so I think I rewatched that one the most out of all the other episodes. I want to say that was my 4th time or 3rd time rewatching it, but yeah, we'll talk about that next week. I love The Elder. And after that, there's Lop and Ocho, Episode 8, and Akakiri. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't think there's another way to pronounce that. Akakiri, which is Episode 9. Yeah, so look forward to all of those, and I will try not to be late again next time for Episode 3. So, sorry, bear with me on that, but yeah, I hope you liked the little reviews and snips that I had to say about these episodes. And if you haven't watched the other episodes yet after Episode 4, then make sure you get those episodes in and watch those before the next podcast. Yeah, so look forward to that. And thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. And again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or reviews, especially reviews, that you'd like to submit, don't forget you can send those over now to our newly established email, apieceofeverythingreviews@gmail.com. And yep, I'll be sure to take a look at whatever you have to say, so I got you. I hope you guys have been enjoying the podcast so far. It's been really fun making it, and I cannot wait to see you next time. So thank you so much again, and I'll see ya. Bye!